Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to cover the top lane prospects in LOL Esports. Just quickly glanced at some stats. Going to go over top lane today and then going to do the other four roles other days throughout the off season as I need content when there are no player moves to discuss and things of that nature. Plus, some of these players are in these discussions, so I think it's worth mentioning before they get fleshed out onto teams to say, actually, statistically, they should be getting called up and things like that. So I think these players, how many do I have on here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 10 players. So, that wasn't intentional, but maybe I'll throw it in the title. Who knows? So, Thanatos, he has been a player highly touted a while now. He is one of, half this list, 5 players that I had identified at some point last year or earlier this year as a player to watch or a prospect to watch. 61 games played, had a 3.9 KDA, 9 CS per minute in CK, 49.7 KP. A lot of these players you're going to find out more solo, dolo, side laners. I prefer, if I'm going to identify a prospect that statistically looks really good, because, disclaimer, I haven't watched any of these guys play. This is all stats and just trying to figure out, okay, these guys are the guys to keep an eye on going forward because they statistically look pretty good. And when you're a solo dolo side laner in the 1v1 and things like that, I think mechanically, that's if you're succeeding in that environment, that's really good. Then you can teach somebody how to facilitate later on. Mechanics, I don't think, are something you can really teach. You can improve them, but I don't think you can really drastically improve them, if you will. So 21-3 gold share, 492 damage per minute. That's 22.4% of D+'s damage. On average, he was up about 195 gold, 8 CS, 215 XP, had 19 solo kills and 10 champions played in those 61 games. A player that should be starting in the LCK this year is not, for reasons we don't know, and only 19 years old. Perfect for KT, 19 years old, rumored to possibly be the starter for KT next year. He has earned that promotion. 43 games, 3.3 KDA, 8.6 CS per minute, 48.7 KP, so less than half the kills he's involved in, so he's in a side lane. 21-4 gold share, 472 damage per minute, 22.7 damage share. So Thanatos is getting a lot of the publicity, but Perfect was just as good on a team that doesn't get as much hype. On average, up 275 gold, 8 CS, 230 XP at 15 minutes, 16 solo kills, 10 champions played. So, same amount of champions in about 2/3 the games as well. And nearly the same amount of solo kills as Thanatos. So, I think Perfect is getting the short end of the stick when it comes to love right now. Rooster, at 18 years old, is the youngest player on this board for HLE. Did great in, honestly, next year, he's a player that should be looked at as a LCK candidate or a major region candidate if he can keep it up. 55 games, 4.1 KDA, 8.3 CS per minute, 56% KP. Gave up a little bit of that farm and was more involved. HLE fought around him a bit more. 21-1 gold share, 438 damage per minute, which was 21.5% of damage, so still similar, shares. On average, not gapping his opponents, only up 115 gold, 2 CS, and 95 XP. However, had 19 solo kills, which is the same amount as Thanatos, and more champions played with 11. So, something to note here. I think that kid is somebody to watch this year. Aspire for top esports, I've read that he's rumored to possibly replace Wayward. 20 years old. I've identified him as somebody to watch for a little while now. He's put together quite a few good splits. I have 110 games here because there's no way of easily breaking down LDL stats because Game of Legend doesn't do LDL stats, so you got to kind of look at Leaguepedia and wing it. So 110 games played, 3.9 KDA, 8.1 CS per minute, 50.9 KP, 20.5 gold share, 434 damage per minute. So pretty set standard with what we're seeing out of Thanatos, Perfect, and Rooster. The damage is in the high 400s, CS above 8, not dying a ton, is, involved in half the kills. and played 15 champions, which I would say is a bit concerning. You'd like him to play more than 15, especially with the LDL doing Fearless Draft. But I have seen mixed reviews on him. I'd assume those are people that have actually watched him play. Like I said, it's only stats for me. Lamb, I don't know how old he is. He's only been on BLG's LDL team for a short time, so I'm assuming he's younger unless he's a late bloomer. 58 games played, 3.4 KDA, 8.3 CS per minute, 54.3 KP. So more farm than Aspire, more involved than Aspire, more important to his team at nearly 22% of the team's gold share, and 566 damage per minute. That's a big difference. 130 DPM. That's, well, I guess not. Over 20 minutes, it's like, what? 2,600 damage. 11 champions in 58 games. By the way, Nest is going on right now. Aspire and Lamb could be in that. I'm not really paying attention to Nest as much as I probably should be. LEC players, Melinek. I had Melinek on my list earlier in the year for Solari. Should be getting an opportunity in the LEC this year. Probably not, but should be. 42 games played, died quite a bit, 2.5 KDA, but an 8.4 CS per minute, 49 KP. So on an island, solo dolo. 22 gold share, 535 damage per minute, and the highest damage share on this board at 26.4%. I just had to make sure that Zamudo's was lower, and it was. 26% is a lot for a top laner. That's like, you know how important the Shy was to Weibo in terms of damage? Like, that's what we're looking at here. Secondary carry was Melinek on Solari, and that's important. That's important in my opinion. On average, up 4 to 65 gold, 7 CS, 335 XP, 16 solo kills, and 12 champions played in those 42 games. A player to be looking at for European teams this year. A couple players I had identified last year that ended up getting a spot in the top lane video was one of them was Oscarinen. Somebody that looked really good statistically and did finally get a chance with Fnatic. Howling is a Korean import that played for BKR Rogue or BK Rogue. I think he was on Sandbox's academy team, if I recall. So 39 games played, 3.7 KDA, 8.1 CS per minute, 51.9 KP. So not as astounding stats as Melinek, but lives a lot more. 21.1 gold share, 544 damage per minute, 21.3 damage share. It kind of goes to show you how much better his team was compared to Melinek's, because the damage per minute's higher, but the share is 5% less. Like, that's a big difference. That's the difference between a secondary carry, third tier carry. Hell, it's even kind of low for a third tier carry. On average, he's had 425 gold, 8 CS, 365 XP. 18 solo kills, 9 champions played. So 18 solo kills in 39 games. I'm surprised he's not getting a look. Definitely a player that should be playing in a Worlds qualifying league next year. Whether that's in a minor region or it's in LCS or LEC, Howling should be somewhere. Myron, I'm going to go with Myron. For Bisen, he also played with Heretics at 20 years old. Somebody that I had on the list as well earlier in the year. 31 games played, 3 KDA, 8 CS per minute, 52.9 KP. And you're going to say those are pretty average. And it is. Those numbers are average, but we'll get to where he stands out. 21.8 gold share, 659 damage per minute. The guy plays all sorts of different things. 24.8 gold damage share. On average, was ahead of his opponents, 340 gold, 7 CS, 200 XP. Had 20 solo kills in 31 games and 16 champions played in 31 games. A player that should be getting an opportunity. I do think I've read that he might be getting an opportunity with Heretics. We'll see. I don't know. I don't read the Pokemon rumors, so if that's already, been verbally agreed to or whatever, so be it. But it's a player that should be getting a look. Marky, Rainbow 7, another nice player statistically. 46 games, 3.1 KDA, 8 CS per minute, 50.5 KP. You'd like him to be more involved at that CS per minute. 20.8 gold share, though, so he does take less resources than everyone else. But 568 damage per minute and 22% of the team's damage. Rainbow 7 was really good last year in ERLs, So he's not getting a big chunk of the share in gold, and he's not dealing a massive, important chunk of the team's damage. However, what he is dealing is a lot, if that makes sense. So not a big share, but the number is indicative of a really good team. Marky's doing work. On average, up 410 gold, 6 CS, 40 XP. However, one of the more passive players on the list, 11 solo kills and 11 champions in 46 games. So maybe he's somebody that we'll see, if he improves this year early on. And then lastly, the only NA player I'm going to have in this series, when I go over the 5 roles, is Zudo, and you're going to say, really? And I'll be like, yeah, I looked, and there's not many players 21 and under in North American Academy system that had a great year last year. It really didn't happen. Like, Sniper didn't even play, really, and honestly, a lot of the players being called up are older than 21 years old. Like, they are what they are already. Like, the development there is not as great. There's not as much potential for growth there, in my opinion. Some people are going to say, oh, yeah, well, Faker's 30 years old and he's playing or whatever. And it's like, excuse me, really, in the grand scheme of things, he's lost his hands. I mean, he did well at Worlds, but that's because he took a break in summer and rumors they had to stop scrims and things like that. Like, your best years, at least to me, are like between 22 and 25. And then after that, it's kind of like, use your experience. Now, your experience can make up for, not being as mechanically gifted anymore. So, Zudo at 19 years old for Wildcard Gaming. He also played for somebody else. 43 games played, 2.4 KDA, 8 CS per minute, 58.3 KP. So died a lot. Numbers, not great in that regard. Not a lot of farm, but involved at 58%. Had a wide champion pool as well. 21.7 gold share, 615 damage per minute, 26.3% of the team's damage in summer. So was the secondary carry on his teams. On average, up 265 gold, 7 CS, 245 XP, 27 solo kills in 43 games, and played 16 champions. So wide champion pool, aggressive player, plays well, does what he has to do. We'll see if he gets an opportunity. One of, like I said, the very, very few NA prospects that I would be willing to say, this is a player to watch this year when it comes to stats. And Myron, I was trying to think if it was him or Marky. I think it was Myron. His champion pool, you should honestly take a look at what he played this past year at ERL Masters, or EMEA Masters and all that jazz in the regular season and the playoffs. His champion pool is wild. That is him and Zudo's champion pools are just, they're really fun. And those two players, Zudo's another player I identified last year. Players that need spots, and we'll see if Zudo gets one here. I mean, Myron rumored to get one, so yeah. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.